is unavailable, or if they are incredibly hungry, or quite often if people are just being really, really stupid, which unfortunately falls into the category of ranchers and farmers, because if they kill one lion, then that usually means the whole pride will retaliate and kill them. So that is so lions do occasionally retaliate against people who kill members of their families. Of course, this is the range of the African lion, but around here was the historic range of the Barbary lions, and also around here the Asiatic lion, but I will get to those two later. Now, the next cat I'm going to show you is the fastest land mammal, the cheetah. Now, cheetahs are actually quite small for a big cat. I mean, they probably stand no taller than 1.5 meters at the shoulder. In fact, probably come up to no further than along my hip. But they also have a small head and very short ears and these tear streak marks, but also the same sandy spotted coloration. And of course, cheetahs are also the fastest of all land animals. So, of course, unlike lions that are built for strength and muscularity, cheetahs are built for speed, because what they do, and that's all down to what they hunt, but I will get to that later. Cheetahs, like other members of the cat family, usually live on their own. In fact, a male and female cheetah will only interact when they mate and produce offspring. And the female cheetah can have usually about 3 to 5 cubs, and it's her job for the next year to raise them, as well as feed them and teach them how to hunt. But also, she has to protect them from predators like lions, hyenas, wild dogs, jackals and baboons. And unfortunately, about 70 to 75% of cheetah cubs don't make it to their first year. But probably one of the most interesting things about cheetahs is that, unlike other cats that can retract their claws into their feet, on cheetahs their claws are always descended, so they don't retract them, and in fact one lash from those claws could give me a nasty wound. But they're usually used on its prey to either knock it off balance or disable it. And of course, cheetahs also have probably the most advanced field of vision of any cat, because they can spot a moving gazelle from well over 1 kilometre away. Then they have to get to within no more than about 30 metres or so before they charge forward. Now, cheetahs have been clocked going from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds, so they can outpace a sports car like a Porsche or a Lamborghini, and in fact their top speed is just over 74 miles per hour, so around about 75 miles per hour. They can accomplish this because of their small head, which reduces drag, as well as loose hip and shoulder joints, and very flexible spine that arches and curves and bends. But also their non-retractile claws grip the ground and push them forward. And in fact, cheetahs spend more than half their time totally airborne. But of course, the cheetah needs to be able to knock its prey off balance, and that can be an antelope like a gazelle or an impala, so they have to knock it off balance, and then they finish it off with a bite to the throat. But the trade-off for being so fast is that the cheetah can't maintain full speed for long distances. In fact, they can only run for probably just about 500 meters, And of course, the glycogen in their bodies that gives them the speed also causes lactic acid, which creates muscle cramp, and of course, if their body heat gets to a too high a percentage, they could die. So the cheetah can only run for about 500 meters before it has to stop, before its body overheats, and they could spend about half an hour getting their breath back. But probably the most amazing thing for me about cheetahs is that the males, usually a band of brothers, will join together and hunt together and fight together. In fact, male cheetahs, which are usually brothers, will band together, and they can be about usually 2 animals or maybe 3 males, but the largest male cheetah group ever recorded was 5 males in Kenya in East Africa. And by joining together, the brothers are able to bring down larger prey like zebra, wildebeest, and perhaps even ostriches. And cheetahs are successful in 1 in 4 hunts with a 50% strike rate, which makes them one of the most accomplished hunters of any of the big cats. But there is a price to pay for being so fast, because being fast means that the cheetah is also a lightweight, so they can't defend themselves against tougher animals like lions or even hyenas. So quite often when food is scarce, the cheetah will often lose its kill to hyenas, and their specialty of running fast can sometimes be their biggest weakness. And of course, the sad truth is that populations of cheetahs have become minuscule in comparison to the past, and there are many reasons for that. I mean, they're overhunted for their fur because it's so beautiful, but also their cubs are stolen from the wild to be sold as exotic pets or to a rich man's private collection, but also their savannah home is disappearing, because their savannah home is shrinking and is being replaced by farmland, where cheetahs are quite often perceived as a threat to livestock and shot, but also that's bringing them into conflict with lions, hyenas, wild dogs, and other large predators. And if this carries on, then in the next 50 years, the cheetah might go extinct in the wild. But there is hope, because with the anti-poaching squads and scientists monitoring them, as well as studying them in the wild, but also breeding populations in captivity is important, even though that is a very, very difficult job. A very, very difficult task, because cheetahs need wide ranges for mating. Because their speed also comes into its own when mating, which can be a bit of a problem for breeding populations in captivity, but also somehow efforts gradually being made to try and preserve the habitat they live in. And this is the range of the cheetah. Now, the next African cat I'm going to show you is the Sultan of Stealth. It is the African Leopard. Now, the African Leopard is quite an average-sized big cat. I mean, a big male can grow to be about just about 2 meters long. They can have canine teeth as long as my index finger, and they are the Sultans of Stealth. And when I say that, I mean leopards are incredible ambush predators. In fact, no other animal in Africa have a greater stealth hunting method than leopards. And one way they have it is is their spotted rosette and sandy coloured coat. Because for a leopard and its prey, that isn't just hide and seek, it's life or death. And of course, leopards are supreme ambush hunters. And of course, their coat acts like the perfect invisibility cloak. And they crouch so low that they can disappear in long grass. But they also use every last bit of cover to get unbelievably close. And that's all down to the fact that leopards don't indulge in an all-out chase like a cheetah. And they have to get to within no more than 5 meters of their prey before they leap. And leopards are opportunists. They will take pretty much anything they can catch. Of course, for smaller prey like rodents, rabbits, birds, or things like that, just a single swipe from its paw should kill it. But for larger prey like zebra, wildebeest, antelope, warthogs, or even buffalo, they finish it off with a bite to the throat or the back of the neck. Probably the most dangerous prey leopards hunt is warthogs. Now, warthogs may be good food for leopards, but they are far from defenceless and they have fierce tusks. And warthogs have been known to kill leopards. So they can be very, very tricky. And of course, leopards, like all members of the cat family, apart from lions and male cheetahs, are solitary for much of their lives, with the exceptions of mothers and their cubs. And a male and a female cheetah will only interact when they mate and produce offspring. But also, mother leopards, they don't stay in the same place for very long. In fact, they usually stay at one den site, which could usually be a den underneath a rocky overhang, for probably no more than a couple of days, so they're always on the move. That keeps them away from predators like lions, hyenas, baboons, jackals and wild dogs, because they would all kill leopard cubs if they got the chance. And of course, leopard cubs will stay with their mothers for probably just about 2 years or 3, and it's up to her to protect them from predators as well as provide them with food and teach them how to hunt. And like all members of the cat family, leopards do much of their hunting at night, because like all cats, they have a reflective layer of cells at the back of their eyes called the tapetum lucida that gives them eyesight that's 6 times more powerful than ours, especially at night. And of course, what they do is to escape the hot savannah days. They will try to do most of their hunting at night. So what the leopards do is they wait till nightfall and then they go out to hunt for prey. And of course, their prey, like antelope, zebras and wildebeest, have a very, very keen sense of smell and hearing, but they don't have very good night vision, because their night vision is little better than our own, and that's what allows the leopard to sneak up on them like a thief in the night. Of course, how leopards hunt is they use stealth and the awesome eyesight that give them the advantage over their prey, because what they have to do is they have to place each foot down very, very carefully, because even a tiny noise could give them away. But they also control their breathing, so they need to be extremely quiet. And then, when they're no more than about 5 meters from their prey, bang, they pounce, and they usually will finish it off with a bite to the throat or the back of the neck. And then, incredibly, once this cat's made a kill, it has the strength and agility to haul the carcass up into the trees where no other predator, including lions and hyenas, can get to it. That's usually called